Hello, Patrick. Thank you for joining our podcast. Today, in our podcast, take part Patrick, co-founder of Macat AI. Uh, I would like to ask you to start with the general information. How did you come up with the idea? When?
Absolutely. So yeah, I appreciate you, Igor, for having me on the podcast. So I'm Patrick, co-founder and CEO of Make It. The easiest way to describe Make It, it's a little bit like the same transformation that Canva brought to graphic design back in 2013. We're trying to do the same thing with architecture in 2025. So making architecture accessible and available towards everybody everywhere. Really putting everybody within the driver's seat of being an architect for their residential projects. So we started the company in 2019, more formally really started working in the generative AI path in 2021 after a few different pivots in the early days, but very much with that vision that architecture needed to change, needed to be democratized. One of my co-founders, who's the COO of the business, he's been in the architectural industry for about 10 years, saw a lot of issues with CAD, Revit, Rhino, those types of legacy softwares, and then being able to use those with his customers on the consumer side, and that's also on the home builder side. Really, there was a need for a tool that was a lot more democratized and accessible. This was pre-generative AI wave, right? Pre-ChatGPT. So in 2022, we started building out our own floor plan generation model, and then put that into product in 2023. And now we've grown to being over 1 million users on platform. And it's really anybody who doesn't want to deal with an architect within the process. So homeowners who are looking to build or renovate, home builders who are using it with their customers, real estate developers, real estate investors that want to do it on their own. And there's a few different things they can do in the platform. So plan generation, plan editing, plan recognition, and visualization of their space. So ultimately, it's a little bit like ChatGPT, but for the architectural design space.
I understand. You told that it's also for the companies and for the people. Who are your main clients? Individuals or companies?
Yeah, so it's a mix of both. So individuals can use it. Anybody who's looking to do a new building or renovate their kitchen, their dining room, their living room, for example, they'd be able to use the platform. So on the consumer side, and then there's also home builders who use it. For example, we're collaborating with a home builder in Japan right now, who they're using it with their customers to be able to do quicker iterations around plan generation, plan optimization, and the visual aspect as well. So it's really meant for anybody who usually deals with an architect but wants to do the process themselves before then meeting an architect and sort of finalizing the drawings. It's not made for architects. It's made for everybody who gravitates around architects and want to go quicker within the.
Okay, and it's you have a really big project. How many people do you have in your team?
Yep. Yeah, so we've grown from just a handful of people working on this project in 2022 and into 2023 when we launched a V1 of our platform. Now we're 15 employees in the business. So everything ranging from product to the applied AI team, some on the architectural side, and a pretty lean GTM team as well. So we've really taken sort of the AI native approach to building a company. So it's really a low head count, but are very effective with their AI agents. So a lot of people have a lot of ownership within the business in terms of how they're able to complete their job using agentic tools. So that's what the team makeup has looked like so far. 15 people. We're looking to grow, but not necessarily grow at a huge scale currently before we reach some product milestones that we want to reach with the V2 of the platform.
Okay, thank you very much. How do you see the market? How do you see your competitors? Because according to my vision, it's really interesting shift. What I'm speaking about. So before several years ago, we had just individual designers who were able to create the designs. And so, could you please tell me your vision?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of the competitive landscape right now is just going with the status quo, right? So saying, I have a project that I need to do, I need a new build or renovation, I need plans that I can sell then to my customers on the home building side, for example. So they'll usually go see an architect or an architectural firm. The problem with that is it takes a really long time to be able to get the completed designs. It takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of iteration between different designs. So the status quo is really to just go see an architect that then uses legacy software, or you can go about it yourself and use some online tools that allow for plan drawing and plan editing. The problem with those is they don't take into account a lot of architectural constraints, right? So if you're drawing a plan, you don't actually know if the plan will work from an architectural standpoint, and then taking into account zoning codes, et cetera. Those softwares don't necessarily take those into account. So the consumer and businesses are left with basically no options. They need to go see a professional, or they try to figure it out themselves with plans that aren't necessarily compliant and work for their project. So that's what the competitive landscape looks like right now. And then in the third bucket is tools that are used by architects, right? So it's like it's not AutoCAD, it's not Revit, it's not Rhino, it's not those really legacy systems. They're SaaS softwares that then also incorporate AI a little bit into workflows, but they're made for architects. So it really is a complicated system to use, and it's not as easy, for example, to use as ChatGPT, right? There's really been a big paradigm shift in terms of the customer expectations around tools that are easy to use. People want just ChatGPT for X, for legal, for software development, and same thing for architecture.
Let me ask you a question. In your vision, speaking about your product, usually when people communicate with any designer, they see, I don't know, first variant of the design, and they tell, I would like to change this and this. Yeah. How agile is your AI approach on these details?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, the traditional way of doing things, like you're saying, if somebody wants a modification to their plan, the architect takes it back on their side. They go back into their legacy systems. They spend time in it, and then they come up with maybe one other design and maybe one rendering, for example, of what the space could look like. But we're talking about a multi-week process and back and forth, email, et cetera. We really compress that workflow. So think as easy as ChatGPT, especially with this version 2 of the platform that's coming out in Q1 of next year. It really will be that you can generate your plan. Then any modifications that you want to make, you can just put in a text prompt and say, make the kitchen bigger, make the bathroom bigger, and rearrange these rooms. And then you'll be able to see the changes instantaneously. So be able to go through different variations in a quick fashion, and then also be able to see renderings of the space, what it can look like with your material, with your furniture, in a really quick fashion. So it ultimately allows for the compression of that decision, the decision cycle between the home builder and their customer, or consumers dealing then with an architect.
Sounds really great, like a really big shift in this.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Really. According to my opinion, people in my vision are divided. Not only in my vision are divided, like AI pessimists, AI optimists, enthusiasts, and so on. I'm an AI enthusiast. Yes. I would like to put it everywhere where it's possible to put it.
But there's complexity. There really is complexity of putting AI systems everywhere, right? Where you're talking about agentic systems, that's the next step after large language models, diffusion-based models, video models that have gotten us to a certain point. Being able to really orchestrate agents between each other and getting data flowing from one agent to the next agent to be able to get to an outcome that really makes sense. There's a high level of complexity there. And some of the biggest AI companies are still dealing with the complexities of how do you train AI agents, and then how do you then also orchestrate those AI agents between each other, right? So that's still a big question mark in agentic workflows to see if they will actually work in a production setting, right?
Yeah. Could you please tell me what was the biggest challenge from the beginning for you, technical, market-wise?
Yeah, good question. We had the vision from even pre-ChatGPT days. So we really knew that there was going to be a shift in how architecture was done. But generative AI was very early days. Like there was, I think a handful of people probably globally that could help us with the problem that we were working with. So that was a big challenge. Is we got on the map very, very early. So being able to have the technology that then matches what the customer need was quite challenging. One thing that we did get right was distribution, though. So we realized that a lot of people need this. We're getting 35,000 people signing up on a monthly basis organically because they really need this solution. So that was one thing that was positive. Another thing that was a big challenge is we actually went out to market with a little bit by architects for architects in terms of the system and the solution that we were offering in 2023. And what we realized is like it's everybody except architects that really wanted to use it and who needed it. So that was a challenge that we had, was really shifting the narrative around, it's not for architects, it's for everybody, right? So those are some of the challenges, I guess, that we had on the brand perception side.
Okay. Thank you. What could you please tell me the main, I don't know, maybe highlight main features that you have right now, and what are your plans?
Yeah, absolutely. So we in 2023 we launched a very sort of MVP version of what our vision was, where you can generate floor plans, you can do the editing, you can see some visuals of what it'll look like, but it's very much in the SaaS 2.0 era, right? So a lot of sort of buttons and knobs that you have to learn. You have to learn a new interface. It's pretty complicated interface, I think, with the first version of the platform. What we're really excited about is we've really started building the platform from the ground up since April of this year. We brought in a third co-founder in the business, chief product officer, Simon Vallée. So he's scaled and sold companies to Groupon, another one to Slack, another one to Figma. So very experienced within product development. And we've been building the platform from the ground up. So think really agentic workflows that are working under the hood to be able to provide a good user experience and a really, really nice product to use. And it's akin a little bit to ChatGPT, but for architecture, right? So starting in Q1 of next year, you'll be able to generate floor plans using a text prompt. You'll be able to modify those plans using a text prompt, also with contextual UI elements that you'll be able to use. So be able to drag and drop different furniture, resize rooms, etc., or be able to do it through a fully agentic workflow. Then be able to see visuals of what it'll look like in renderings in a quick fashion. But that's, just to start. Obviously, we want to bring in material takeoffs, estimation. I want to then go into to zoning code analysis as well, make sure that the plans are obviously fully compliant. So we're really excited for this new version of the platform that's coming out in Q1 of next year.
Thank you. What technical challenges, if you could answer to this question, what technical challenges are you currently facing?
Yeah, I think that like a little bit like I mentioned previously, right? LLMs are really good for text. Diffusion-based models have been really good for images and for video elements as well. So those work well within those use cases. So customer support, legal, image generation, video generation. Architecture has different types of constraints to it, right? So being able to train AI agents to be able to generate an actually compliant floor plan, then being able to associate that with what visually it'll look like and making sure that the zoning codes work, et cetera. You're talking about different AI agents that you need to build and different models that need to sync all together as well. So that's been one of the challenges that we've had on the technical side, is making sure all those things work together in a good fashion. And you can't get architecture wrong, right? We don't want, a roof to be falling on somebody's head, right? So there's a lot of compliance on that side that we need to take into account. So that's been one of the big challenges. One of our major supporters, though, has been the Mila Institute. So one of the largest AI institutes in the world, founded by Yoshua Bengio, and a lot of the AI advancements that we have is due to the Mila and a lot of that work that's been done. So we're served very well here locally. But those have been some of the technical challenges that we've had their assistance on to be able to work through. But yeah, some of the challenges that we've faced are around those areas.
And all these questions you close with your internal team.
Yeah. So exactly. So just with our internal team and a little in some collaboration with the Mila Institute, like I mentioned. So they've been close thought partners with us. And we have some advisors as well in the company that obviously come from the Mila Institute. So a lot of AI talent here locally that we've been able to collaborate with. But yes, most of it's been all internal.
Mm-hmm. How are you thinking about scaling the product, ensuring it works for different project types, market, countries?
Yes, absolutely. So great question. So I'll give some examples, right? On the plan generation side, we use a technology that's highly flexible and scalable and understands the adjacencies between different rooms. So whether it be a data set that's coming from North America or Japan or South Korea or South America, we're able to ingest that data set, understand what those plans look like, the adjacencies between the rooms, et cetera, and then be able to produce plans that work within that community. So that's one side that really is scalable within the business, and then we also plug and play off the shelf models where it makes sense, and then they have a geographic reach, right? So one of the things that we've been doing from an agentic standpoint is just making sure that all of the agents work well across the globe. But then we've been really focused on different areas of the business and saying, we're not doing commercial, we're not doing large scale architectural projects. We're really focused on residential, which is I guess a narrow use case, but not that big of a narrow use case in and of itself, to be able to reduce some of the complexity from a geographic standpoint.
Okay, understood. What about how do you ensure quality and
Yeah.
reliability on AI generated designs? What processes
As
and or checks?
Yeah, great question. So that's why we have an architectural team internally, right? And in our co-founder, one of our co-founders, the COO and original founder of the business, Stefan, he's our architect in residence, right? So when we're building these algorithms, he really has his architect hat on, where he reviews the designs, he makes sure that it's actually working and that the designs make sense. And we also have some other team members internally that are able to do that. So that's really the secret of what we're doing, right? Is really marrying the architectural principles with AI that actually works with a really nice and easy to use interface. And that's what will make the success of the V2 that's launching early next year. But that's how we assure compliance and checks, is making sure that architects are actually involved with the process of building these algorithms.
Thank you. What advice would you give to startups aiming to enter the architecture or construction space with AI tools?
Yeah. I think we really need a big paradigm shift when it comes to tooling, right? A lot of the tools have been made for the old way of doing things, of saying we're going to rebuild Revit, or we're going to add collaboration into the process, right? And we're going to go see architectural firms. I think that more and more you see with these AI systems, it really is high user adoption, high agency in how people are using these systems. A little bit like what you've seen with Lovable, Replit, Bolt, those types of systems, where people can start using them and really get to a point where they can use the output and making it accessible for everybody. So there has to be a little bit more of like a mass market and mass scale thinking, versus saying like we're going direct to enterprise and we're going to sell it to the CTO of a building company, for example. So a little bit more of a bottoms up approach is important. And then having a dead simple interface in UI. Like it's just like people have become used to using ChatGPT and Claude and others, and it just needs to work from an agentic standpoint. But then the interface has to be dead simple, right? Like those are the two things that I think I've really learned within the space. And the third one that might be a little bit controversial, I guess, but nail distribution first. I mean, the reality is the first version of the platform needed a lot of changes, and from a technical standpoint, there was obviously some misgivings on that side. And that's why we built a platform from the ground up with the V2. But we figured out distribution. We're able to learn a lot from people using the over 1 million users using the platform. That informed a lot of what has gone into the V2.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. Where do you see Market AI in 3-5 years? What markets, features?
Yeah, tough question to answer, just because the market's moving so quickly. But a lot of the bets that we want to place is, we believe that houses are, and property is, a generational asset, right? So I think similar to how you have a bank account that shows the investments that you have, we should be able to have a digital twin and show the house that you have, the renovations that you can do, the new builds that you can do. How can you maximize value of that asset? So being able to combine that with agentic systems to say, okay, this is what it's going to look like, this is what the plan will look like, this is what visualization will look like, et cetera, and how much value would actually add to my home. So like we're talking about a digital twin and digital representation of the home for users. That's one stake in the ground that we want to have. And then if you're looking really long term, I think really the full integration of hardware and software together. So generating floor plans, seeing what they're going to look like, obviously, but then feeding it into either prefabricated systems or 3D printing systems to be able to go from idea to executed house and structure within a few days, maybe a few weeks as we start out. I really think there's going to be a full integration of hardware and software using AI systems, right? So we want to be at the heart of that within the next, call it 10 years.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you. I agree. Thank you for sharing the idea.
100%.
Patrick, thank you very much for joining our podcast. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And sharing with us your ideas. It is really interesting.
Fantastic. Appreciate it.
Patrick, this part here it will be
edited out.
Yeah. I would like to ask you just a quick question. As we are software development company, do you see also an opportunity? Maybe you have several, I don't know, outstanding features you are going
Yeah.
to develop? Not speaking about the core functionality, I mean AI part and so on. Maybe you involve someone. As we are located in Poland, maybe it could be interesting for you. I mean,
100%. So right now we have all of our development team local. We really want to keep it local for the time being. That being said, obviously as we scale towards Series A, Series B, etc., we're looking to expand the development team. We could take a look at those options when it comes to offshore, and we know there's good talent in Poland. That would be more a conversation to have with Simon, who's my co-founder and CPO. So currently we're well served, but it's a door that we want to leave open for sure.
Okay, in this case, our company is middle-sized company as a development company. I mean, we have about 100 developers with a really great variety of stack of technologies. I don't know, maybe would you like to get from my side an email with the core technology we have, and then discuss with your partners? And
sure, I mean, yeah, send it over. We'll have it for our files when we're thinking about sort of what the next steps in terms of hiring looks like. So yeah, feel free to shoot over.
Great.
Awesome.
Patrick, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Let's stay in touch.